Hey guys, Remy here, and today I wanted to talk to you about my trip to Liverpool. So it was my 20th birthday on the 6th of September, and this year I wanted to go to Liverpool to see all the Beatles sites, which meant I dragged my mum and dad up, but we stayed at a friend's house. They live in the best house I've ever seen. It's like an old Georgian kind of home, and I just couldn't believe how pretty it was. And they lived maybe 15 minutes from the city centre. So on the first day we got there, I really wanted to see a few sights on my birthday. So me and my dad were gone for an hour, and we saw Paul McCartney's house at 24th Lynn Road, which is where he lived from the age of 13 to around 20. That was the house that was on James Corden's Carpool Karaoke. We then went to John Lennon's house at 251 Menlove Avenue, which is where he lived with his Aunt Mimi. Paul McCartney's house was great because we went at around maybe like 4 p.m, so it was really dead. I think there's only one other fan taking photos. But yeah, I got a few photos. I didn't go into him and John's house, which you can do if you book a ticket through the National Trust. But to be honest, I didn't want to pay. And when you do that little tour, you have to get on this bus that the National Trust provides, and you have to travel with all these people. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I just want to see it for myself and take a few pictures. And if I really want to see the inside of the houses, I can always go back another time. But I just didn't want to take too long because there's other stuff that I want to do. So we went to Paul's house and got a few photos, and it was so cute, and I was really happy. And then literally we just drove for like 3 minutes and we ended up at John's house. Now, a National Trust tour was going on at that moment, so in my photos it's kind of awkward because like it's all like this tour was of just fairly older guys. They were in like the front garden, and I'm just like in front of the gate like, and they're just staring at me. I'm taking photos whether you guys are in there or not, so like I want to see John Lennon's house. And then we drove down the road to Strawberry Fields. Again, the same fan who was at Paul McCartney's house was there at Strawberry Fields, but they were like the only other people there. Got a few photos done. I don't think it was the original gates that were at Strawberry Field when I went there, because literally a week later the original Strawberry Field gates were on tour on Liverpool, and when I looked at the photos they had like different writing as opposed to the writing that was on my gates. They had less writing, so that was kind of like a little bummer because I was just like, oh, these aren't the original gates, but it's still Strawberry Field, so that means a lot. And we went there like the week before the Strawberry Fields new centre opened, because I didn't know exactly when they were gonna open. I just knew that they were opening in September. But yeah, we went there. It meant a lot to me to go.
Let me take you down, 'cause I'm going to Strawberry Field.
And then we went to Penny Lane, and sadly we couldn't get out of the car much and walk into Penny Lane. We did get out of the car to take a photo next to the road sign of Penny Lane that's now protected with plastic, because that was the sign that has Paul McCartney's signature on it, which he signed from the Carpool Karaoke episode. So that was the one I specifically wanted to go to. There were a few Penny Lane road signs. And then we drove down Penny Lane, where I saw the bus shelter in the middle of the roundabout, which is now like a Sergeant Pepper's bistro. I saw a Barber's, but when I look back on it, I think I took a picture of the wrong Barber's on Penny Lane. I got confused. So then the next day we properly ventured into the city of Liverpool. And can I just say that Liverpool is such a lovely city. Like, even without the Beatles stuff, I know I went there specifically for the Beatles, but without the Beatles stuff, it is gorgeous. To me, it's like a middle ground of the city that I used to live nearby, which is Cambridge, and London. It's quieter and smaller than London and not as crazy, but it has a lot more going on in Cambridge, and it just has a lovely mix of old beautiful buildings and cool modern buildings. The Royal Albert Docks were pretty, the Mersey's gorgeous as opposed to the green Thames that I'm now becoming used to, and there was people with guitars playing everywhere.
Imagine there's no heaven.
There was cool statues of various different people. And I just loved it. We got into Liverpool. The first thing I did was when I went into the Beatles Story gift shop, and it was great. There was this amazing revolver cushion, but it was huge and it was so much money just for the cover, but oh my god, it was so cool. But what I did end up getting from the Beatles Story gift shop was George Harrison 33 1/3, and I'm so happy because this was something that I've been wanting to get for a long time. And the really annoying thing is, when you can go into like a HMV or another record shop and they never sell any George Harrison vinyl. They might sell the odd George Harrison CD, but no vinyl. Like, the only time I've seen George Harrison vinyl was either when I found All Things Must Pass in a bookshop of all places, or it's a record shop selling second-hand vinyl and I've seen his albums from the 70s. But I want new pressings, I want remastered issues, because sure, second-hand, some people might prefer second-hand, but I want mine to sound as good as possible. And I was just so happy that I saw this. This was very overpriced, but you know what, I was like, I'm getting it. And now I'll always think of Liverpool when I have this album. And I was just so happy that I got it. And they had like amazing t-shirts and like stuff of all things. They had even more George albums as well. There was Extra Texture, there was Electric Sound, there was Wonderwall, there was quite a few. And then, yeah, it just had so much stuff. Then me and my dad went into the Beatles Story. There was the option to like have the headphones and have like the tour guide going on in your head, but to be honest, I didn't really want to do that because it takes a long time, and I'd much rather just browse around and read. Like, I'm there to see the stuff. I'm pretty sure I can hear the stuff any other time. Sure, I might have missed out on exclusive interviews and stuff, but I know my dad probably wouldn't want to listen to it, and there's other stuff I want to see that day, so I thought, you know what, today I just want to walk through. And it was obviously the better choice because a lot of people with like the headphones in, which is probably really helpful for them, especially from a different country, they're just standing around in your way where I'm like, I want to explore, let me see everything. And it was really cool seeing, I loved seeing the Sgt. Pepper outfits. That was probably my favourite bit. The whole India room was cool. I loved like their little solo when they were talking about what they did after the Beatles, how like there were little solo bits and everything, and they had them like described in a few words, and I really liked that. It was cool seeing like the replicas of like the Abbey Road Studio 2, or Cavern Club and everything, because I really wanted to go into the real Cavern Club that day. But of course we went on a Saturday, and the Saturday is like the only day where they charge you to come in, so I didn't go into the Cavern. And besides, the Cavern that they performed in shut down a long time ago, so they then reopened on the other side of the street. But I went into the cavern in a way, so that was nice. And yeah, I just saw a lot of cool things. And then we headed to the Beatles statue at Pier Head, and there's tons of other statues going on. There's like the Museum of Liverpool, which has a big words in the window, Imagine Peace, and someone was playing Imagine whilst that was going on the guitar. We get to the statues, I take a few photos, and it's lovely. And there was a guy playing I Need You next to the statues. Then we headed to Matthew Street, where the Hard Day's Night Hotel was. I wanted to go into the hotel but didn't have time. But I've seen what it looks like in the inside. There was a cool gift shop, I went in there. I love that the pillars on one side of the hotel are the colours of their Sgt. Pepper uniforms. They even have statues of them as like gargoyles on the top of the hotel, which I thought was awesome. And then Matthew Street had so much going on despite it being maybe 1 p.m. Like all the bars were open, people were already drunk. It was quite funny to see. There was a Sgt. Pepper's bar, there was a Rubber Soul bar, and the Sgt. Pepper's bar had like a big screen playing the Beatles, that series from YouTube. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it, it's awesome. But yeah, I could see they were playing the Beatles in the background, whilst blaring out music. And then you had the Cavern pub opposite the Cavern Club, so their stuff was playing. There was a statue of John Lennon by the Cavern pub, which I got a photo next to. He's just posing all cool like. Then there was another Beatles museum on that street, but I didn't go in that one. But I went into the gift shop next to it. Just tons of bits of artwork everywhere. Then we went to we walked through the city centre a little bit, and then we went to like this old brewery that had been shut down, but then tons and tons of little mini bars like opened in that little brewery complex. There was a Peaky Blinders bar that I'd heard about, didn't go in, but I could see like inside like people were dressed up like Peaky Blinders, and that was awesome. And then there was a Yellow Submarine bar. I had a strawberry daiquiri and it was lovely. Like it was a really sunny day as well, so that was cool. Obviously there's other stuff that I would like to see, like more Beatles stuff that I'd want to see. Like I think my mum's friend was telling me there's an Eleanor Rigby statue. I'd love to go into that little mini Beatles museum on Matthew Street, and I'd like to see everything, but we just didn't have the time. But I did see the sites that I'd been planning to see, and that was what mattered. And I loved it. Honestly, Liverpool was such an amazing place to go. I genuinely felt at home there. Like I could see myself living there. It's the second city in the UK that is like, it's like the second biggest city in the UK that has a lot of film and TV careers going on, and that's what I'm studying. So it's always a possibility that I might go up there to do a career, or I might even consider doing a master's in music industry there, because I would have loved to have studied music at uni, but I'm not good at like the practical side of music, but I love learning about music, and especially like music business. I feel like that'd be really interesting. But yeah, I know that I have to go back, and my mum's friend said I can always come back whenever. I just loved it so much. I remember I went to New York for 5 days and thought, you know, I've always dreamed of going to New York, but I was a little bit underwhelmed, although I'd love to go back to New York to see like Strawberry Fields Memorial and stuff like that. But I went to Liverpool, or the city centre of Liverpool, for a few hours, and I was like, I need to be here. The vibe was just so positive, everyone was so friendly. Obviously there'll be some areas that aren't as nice as that, and people aren't always the friendliest, I know. but I just felt at home there. It was always musical, and it was just a beautiful place. And like, if I love the Beatles, then maybe it's a place I should stay. But yeah, I just had an amazing time, and I really wanted to share this with you guys, because even though this is mainly a record channel, and I do talk about other things other than the Beatles is a big part of this channel, so I really wanted to share it with you guys. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys soon. Bye guys.